Well, good evening, folks, and welcome back to another episode of South of Cheddar Curtain. As always, it's your boy Devin Hine, sitting across the table from the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lucas Mueller. You want to start with the folks, Luke?
Hello, folks.
Woo, folks. My words cannot express how happy I am to be back with you tonight, and more importantly, how happy I am to be back with Mr. Lucas Mueller. Buddy, I missed you. The show is a lot more lonely without you. The commentary is not as good. The size of my dad jokes don't exist. So happy to say, least to say, I'm happy to have you back.
And I'm happy to be back. First of all, you did a phenomenal job, I felt, going solo. That is a hard thing to do, to talk for half an hour to yourself and not feel like you're going crazy. So very nicely done. And you didn't just talk, did you? We got a little singing in there as well, which is phenomenal, by the way. You know, you bring a lot of the arts to the show. You bring the poetry. You bring the singing, right? Phenomenal job, as always. And I do want to say, right, if you watch some TV shows, right, once they start getting, a couple seasons in, what happens in some TV shows, right?
You get stale.
But how do people kind of get out of that at times? Some people love them. Some people hate them. Sometimes TV shows bring out a musical episode, so maybe we work on that in the future.
I mean, bro, we keep playing like this. We keep, boosting my endorphins to a level where I don't really care what decisions I make. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Screw it. I'll sing on South Cheddar Curtain. The Packers just smacked the 49ers and smacked the discount East Coast, like, trashy cousin of the 49ers in the Miami Dolphins. So, like, I'll sing a song. I'll write some more poetry. I mean, I kind of like it when it just comes naturally. But we'll see what our future holds.
We'll see what our future holds. But, yeah, great to be back, like I said. And I was north of the Cheddar Curtain. That's why I was not there, and you had to go with the last one solo. So I was, in fact, north of the Cheddar Curtain. I go hunting every year in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, and it is an absolute joy. Love being up there. Love being in kind of that great country, and also made for quite the experience watching the Bears game prior to the 49ers game, the Bears-Vikings game, and the game against the 49ers in a bar filled with nothing but diehard Packer fans from the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin. Beautiful experience.
You said that you were in a bar in the middle of Wisconsin for the Bears and 49ers game?
Yeah, we got there like 12:30, 1 o'clock, so we watched most of the Bears-Vikings game. And most of I was happy to say that the fans there were smart fans, so they were, as much as it hurt, rooting for the Bears predominantly, most of them, due to playoff, seating and such that we were going for. And so that was highly entertaining for sure. And when I say the middle of nowhere, I'm talking like this bar is on the outskirts of a town that has 90 people. Like that's the middle of nowhere I'm talking about. We are truly up there in Wisconsin. Love it.
So the bar had 60 patrons that night then? Did a few people stay home after church, or what was the dealio?
Well, it's deer season, so a lot of people are out in the woods. But yeah, we probably got 20, 30 people in there at one point in time, which is a third of the town, so that's pretty good.
So I'm fascinated about the pulse of not south of Cheddar Curtain, but in the Cheddar Curtain itself.
Correct.
In the Holy Land. So if you could give me a comparison between the energy, the joy, the hate, the overall just emotional outpour, comparing the game against the Bears, because that's like our storied rival, of course, our experience having to be, blessed being Packer fans, but growing up here in Chicago, versus all that emotion for the 49ers game. Because, I mean, at least for fans of our age and younger, I mean, they've been the much bigger bugaboo. So I'm very curious, like, me personally, my hate runs much deeper for the Niners, but I want to hear about our actual people.
So our actual people, the demographics probably help skew this answer slightly. Mostly the vibe that was going during the Bears game was like, wow, the Bears are a bunch of idiots. Why do they keep doing dumb stuff? That was kind of the vibe while we're rooting for them. It's like, you guys can't even win this one, the one time we're actually hoping you do.
Bro, they went over 2 for us the past 2 weeks.
They did. Now, it was also against the Vikings. And, like, if you're not from Wisconsin, you may not necessarily catch up on this, but especially from the western parts of Wisconsin, we're pretty north central, but the western parts of Wisconsin, the Vikings can be an even bigger rival, since that's the people they deal with the most, and they're much closer to that than Chicago. So that was interesting. And then it didn't feel like there was that much hatred for the 49ers, honestly. But like I said, most of the people were older than us. And you also got to remember that when we were very small children, right, we owned the 49ers for a good chunk of time. So they probably don't necessarily have quite the same level of baggage because we were the bugaboo to the 49ers at points during the 90s.
And I hear that, but next year, to all the other Muellers that are listening, I'm coming on the Thanksgiving hunting trip so I can teach these people a little bit about why we hate San Francisco so much. But, because of our actions and because of the Buffalo Bills circling the wagons, I don't think that we'll be able to soften our hate for the 49ers by kicking them out of the playoffs, because I believe that door has now shut.
Yeah, not officially, but it would be a tall hill to climb for them to get back in, especially without Christian McCaffrey.
All right. So we got 2 games to cover. I mean, you couldn't have picked 2 games of the season, or 2 games combining this year and last year, that were more similar than these 2 to me.
Okay.
And as we kind of talked about pre-show, we're going to go over general vibes, things that we remember. And honestly, we'll probably say things were in one game and we're in the other. We're not perfect, folks. We're just south of Cheddar Curtain. So we're going to get to that after, of course. Don't worry, folks. I think, and I know.
All right. What do you got for us?
Oh, sir, I did not make any food on Thursday, but I was cooking something up for sure.
Boy.
So Thursday, this past Thursday, Thanksgiving, a lot of us celebrate,
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of talk about the linebacker play, about Quay Walker and whatnot, and we'll get to him. But everyone should know where this is going if we're talking about Thanksgiving, if we're talking about linebacker play. I know that his name is not just Isaiah McDuffie. It is not just McStuffy. It is Mr. Thanksgiving as well. My God. Isaiah McDuffie can be suspect in pass coverage, and sometimes makes me cringe a little bit when it's, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12, whatever, and we're out there in the nickel. But when he comes downhill and the fire is in his eyes, man, you could tell me that's Luke Kuechly and I'd believe it. Because on some plays, the pursuit is inevitable. There's no point in even running. Isaiah finished with 10 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass deflected on a beautiful pass breakup, like textbook pass breakup. I believe it was on a receiver in the slot on just like a simple in route. Mm-hmm. Isaiah's going to have none of it. The man was everywhere. Obviously, we were set on having Edgerrin Cooper, but my God, Isaiah McStuffy, Mr. Thanksgiving, showed up yet again.
You bring up a good point, and I think what made that game even more impressive for him was the fact that we didn't really think he was going to play, right?
Yeah, because
it was like, what are we doing? We can't even bring up the practice squad guy because the Vikings stole him. So, it's a day before the game. We're like, do we have linebackers? Don't know. And then McDuffie comes in, plays the best game of the season, maybe of his career. Really, really nice, well-rounded game, and really helped us keep the run game in check the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, man, for sure. I remember me and you were texting back and forth about the linebacking room. And what did I say? I was like, bro, any chance they put, what did I say, Katano Ladapo in the box just as a second linebacker?
It was maybe. That may be all we got, right?
I mean, yeah, if it wasn't for the Vikings taking Jamin Davis, which was terrible timing, because he played inside, right? Am I misremembering? I don't remember him being an edge rusher. I remember him being like a field general stereotype linebacker.
So he got drafted as an inside backer, moved last year to edge rusher. I don't really know what our plans were for him, what position, but most of his experience is from the inside.
Not being smarty smart, I actually think it was just this off season, which is why I felt like he could come in and play. It was something about, because Washington went and signed Frankie Louvu, And I want
Yeah.
to say Josie Jewell. No,
Iowa
Josie Jewell
guy.
went to the Panthers. Who else at linebacker? Oh, Bobby Wagner. Of course I forgot about him because he's part of that Seahawk team. Anyways, so they didn't need another inside linebacker, which is why they tried to move him to edge rusher and just
Didn't work.
didn't take well enough for their liking.
No, and he's kind of a Quay molded player, right? Very similar to Quay, strengths and weaknesses wise. So it would have been interesting to see what he could do. But alas, we didn't even need him, which is even better.
Indeed.
All right. So I'm staying with the defense, but going in a little bit different direction. Unfortunately, I know. I don't think we're going to have, well, I know we're not going to have Jeff Hafley around very long. Because I listened to his press conference after this game, or during the week leading up to this, and man, that dude's head coach written all over him. He's so good, and the way he talks about the defense, the way he talks about the men, you can tell his leadership style has got to be incredible to work under. And I almost forget, because I don't necessarily watch all the press conferences, right? But every time I watch a Jeff Hafley one, I'm like, damn, this dude's awesome. I would love to play or work for this dude. And I imagine it seems like our entire defense is kind of getting into the rhythm at this point, and largely I think due to his style, right? And it's going to be unfortunate the day he leaves, but I think at this point it is a matter of weeks or a year or two. I don't think we're going to have him long term, but for the best possible reason.
Yeah, I mean, he's excellent. I'm surprised constantly. My ears can't quite understand it hearing NFL pundits talking about the improved Packers defense. Hearing our coworkers like, Peter Bukowski and Nagler and all those boys who also do a phenomenal job. Shout out to you guys. But so many of us talking about the improved Packers run defense. What? It's true. They're our coworkers, Lucas. We also put up Packers media. Yeah,
we'll go with that.
They mention us on their show sometimes too. I'm sure it'll happen one day. Anyways, I just lost my train of thought, bro. That's on you.
That is on me. My bad.
What were we just talking about? Bring me back.
Improve Packers pundits, improve Packers defense.
Oh, yeah. Like it's odd hearing other people mention the improved Packers run defense, but it has been so much better lately. Definitely a turning point for this defense, right? The run defense has been a problem for a while, despite investments that we've had in the draft and free agency. But Jeff Hafley is that dude. I mean, not only you hear how he talks about coaching and what's in his mindset, like I love listening to the players talk about him and saying how much they love to fight for and how much a dog he is. And I agree, Lucas, that if he wants to be head coach at some point, he's easily going to go get a job somewhere. I would say I think we have, after this season, 1 to 2 more seasons.
Yeah,
we see Ben Johnson for Detroit, who's been such a hot head coaching name.
Yeah.
You see some of these guys who have the opportunity and they just don't go. Maybe they don't want to be a head coach, or there's also like the loyalty to your franchise, right? Mm-hmm. It seems like Hafley loves coaching the Packers. He loves the organization at a structural level. He loves the city of Green Bay. He loves Matt LaFleur, and he loves the individual guys. And because of that, I think he's going to hold on and be with us a little bit longer than he could be. He could just take a head coaching job. You're right. He's going to have, I promise you, multiple offerings probably in this offseason.
I think he may get some interviews this offseason, and that will, if he does, or if he doesn't, that'll kind of tell me, I think, how long he's going to stick around for. He's not going to be gone this offseason. I think we got at least one more year, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be a super long-term thing. But it's going to be, like I said, for the best reason, because he is successful, and if he is successful, we are successful.
For sure.
You're up, my man.
All right. I know that for me, there's just something so poetic about the way that we involved all of our pass catchers over the last 2 weeks combined. So I went and did my film study, Watched over both games twice today. Make sure I was going to be fresh. And it just felt like when you name our top pass catchers, you'd think about the primary way either that you would like us to get them involved or like how we get them involved, what they're known for, their usage, etc.
Yeah.
And everyone to a T is exactly how we targeted them. Christian Watson. How do you want to get him involved? I want to hit him deep over the top. What did we do? We hit him for like a 45-yarder in Miami. What did I touchdown against San Francisco? Unfortunately, dropped it. His bugaboo from, this 2-game stretch we're talking about.
First drop of the year for him, by the way.
Amazing. We're in what? Week 12, 14, something?
This is 14, I believe.
Thank you, Lucas. Always can count on you. Yeah, so by myself, I'm like, what week is it? Oh, it's just me. Just skip that. Keep moving. Let's go. Jaden Reed. How do you like to get him the ball? Get him quick stuff out of the slot. Get him in jet motion. Get him on bubble screens. Any way you can get this jitterbug the ball is going to be a good idea. And we did more than that, but we did all of those things in these 2 games. I mean, he either had I want to say it was a jet that he took for like 25 or 30 against the Dolphins.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, beautiful. Romeo Doubs. You know what I think of with Romeo Doubs? I think of a deep in. What did Romeo Doubs do both games? Run deep 15-yard ins, make contested catches, strong hands. The play I think he got hurt on was when he had like a diving end zone catch, couldn't quite bring it in, but the fact that he was that close was still a hell of an athletic play. Tucker Kraft. Get him the ball in a little bit of space. Give him the ball in out routes. Give him the ball in screens. And just let him run someone's face over. And as you are you're the Tucker Kraft king, Lucas.
I am.
Isn't that you are? Isn't that exactly what we did?
It's exactly what we did. Yeah, absolutely. He trucked that dude in Miami. And he trucked, what was that, Sean Ryan? Whatever it was?
No,
Or
I believe
Josh
it was
Myers.
Josh Myers.
Yeah, he's going to truck it. Doesn't matter who it is.
Shout out Sean Ryan. I talk shit about your hair every time I see it, but you've been balling out lately, guy. Good for you.
He's been playing well.
I mean, even I'll say it, even Dontavian Wicks. He had 4 or 5 catches against Miami. Unfortunately, in this game, he did have a pass that Christian Watson had to play DB for. Thank you, Christian Watson. He's got
against San Francisco, but yeah.
I believe Christian Watson has 2 or 3 stopped interceptions.
Yeah. We can just give him the pass breakup. That's fine.
I mean, does that count for him in fantasy somehow?
No, I wish it did. Some weird Josh Allen way.
What's that?
Some weird Josh Allen way.
Yeah, exactly. Some weird Josh Allen pointers that people got to figure out. Dontavian Wicks had 5 catches for 30 yards. Caught the ball, good hands, ran a good route, found that open spot in zone coverage I always joked about last year that it seemed like he had Travis Kelce's superpower. But the man, when he's on and his hand works, can do that. And he had a few targets too. So it was just something so poetic and therapeutic that we hit everyone's scheme type. We hit their archetype. We got them involved as they're best known for.
Love it. Okay. I actually have 2. So I'm gonna do 2 here, and then we can move on. All right? Does that work?
You guys hear that? You hear how back Lucas Mueller is? He has the first time ever in our show dropping a 2-burger on the back end of Thinking I Know.
I know. And just wait, the last one's a little bit of a curveball, but that's okay. We'll get to it. I think that we don't miss Preston Smith at all.
Who?
Exactly. I mean, do I miss his cornerback abilities from the slot? Yeah, sometimes. If we play Devontae Adams, who are we going to line up against him? Don't know because we don't have Preston Smith.
Pause. But now we've been dropping fucking Devontae Wyatt and Colby Wooden in zone hooks. They're not BJ Raji. Sorry, continue.
I don't. Were you the one in the group chat that got mad about that? And I was like, hey, guys, if we didn't drop a DT or a defensive tackle or nose tackle into coverage every once in a while, we may not have made the Super Bowl in 2010.
That was me, and I wasn't that angry. As we all may know, I might be an emotional person. I think it was more so the choice, because listen here, bud. Lucas, if you had to drop an interior lineman back in coverage
Yeah.
to try to get an interception on a play, who would it be and why?
This is a phenomenal question. I'm going to give you 2 answers. Okay. I actually think Devontae Wyatt's not bad. He's one of the more athletic, agile players. I could see him doing a little something. Okay. The other one, I think, would be our boy Carl. Right? He's a big play dude. Right? All he makes is big plays. So I think he could do a little some back there. Plus, used to be an edge rusher. Right? He may have had to do that a little bit in college. What about you?
I showed
swear if you say T.J. Slayton.
No. I mean, if we're thinking of like the archetype of the defensive tackle, the ridiculousness of B.J. Raji dropping back, you got to go T.J. Slayton. But no, I was showing restraint when you said there were 2 answers. Because there weren't 2 answers. You hit it on the money with the second one, bro. Of course it's Carl Brooks. Because that's the type of like dumb shit luck play that he would make. Honestly, Lucas, he probably wouldn't even pick off the ball. It would be batted up by Xavier or somebody. And instead of going into Tyreek Hill, it would go to Carl Brooks.
Which, hey, I'm all for this happening, by the way.
It would be great. It'd be great.
But back to my original point, right? One of the interesting things here is that Lucas Van Ness has not been playing more. He's got pretty much the same snaps. They're just giving the extra Preston snaps to Mosby and Cox. They've both played really well, all things considered, right? And Lucas Van Ness has played much, much better, right? We have much lower expectations of Cox and Mosby, so anytime they do anything, it's like, woo, oh my God, so happy for him. Like, Lucas Van Ness has expectations that the other two don't. And man, in the last 2 games, he's got 2 sacks and a forced fumble. So, dude is stepping up a little bit, and even above and beyond that, right? I don't know if you heard this little snippet. I think it was Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary was talking about Lucas Van Ness in the 49ers game after the game, and he brought up the fact that Lucas Van Ness saw something on the drive right before his forced fumble sack. He saw something, went to the defensive lineman, talked through the next time this situation came up, how they were going to handle it. The next time it came up, he got the strip sack. So he hasn't necessarily done a ton so far, but for a second-year pro who's like 22 years old, right, to be making those kind of reads and adjustments and talking to the team and communicating and then going and executing based off what he saw, that recognition is awesome to hear about.
Bro, that was the best Christmas present I've ever gotten on December 3rd my entire life. I always listen to those little, like the Packer clips come out of the locker room, like where they ask them questions and whatnot, just to see how the guys interact. In between that and like celebrations on the field, I sometimes feel like I'm worried like that Nessie's left out. Like he doesn't quite fit in. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't always see as much high fives with him and other guys. So I'm happy to hear that he's taken a leadership role,
Yeah.
And like you said, dude, I'm actually surprised sitting back here now that I didn't mention my think and I know. It should have been Nessie because he's been killing it. Yeah, the forced fumble sack kind of felt like a lot of Nessie sacks from last year where it just seems like somehow it's effort and heart, but he just happens to run into the quarterback at points.
Correct,
like,
which is a good thing.
It works totally, but just it's like a surprise almost at some points too.
Correct.
Like the guy almost runs into him, which of course is then from pressure in other spots. You still have to have leverage, but like
it's not like he's just whooping a dude off the edge with a spin move and then run.
It's just the motor.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? I was talking about the NFL draft. How's the motor? Nessie's motor is good. We see it.
Exactly. So let's hope he can keep it up.
Amen. But on that forced fumble, he headbutted the ball. I thought it was hilarious.
It was. It felt like a very Nessie move, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your second half of that?
Okay, so my second one is actually, I know we have a listener question. Actually, 2 of them. And these are directed straight to you, Devin. Okay?
Oh, Christ. Do we have a name?
It's a frequent listener. We both know them, so don't worry about that. But this is good because not everybody may use the same or necessarily understand the terms and the terminology that we use. specifically you use to describe when things aren't going so well. So, can you please explain what it means when you say rip?
How often do I say rip?
It used to happen, or RIP earlier. It only happens when we're playing bad, so it's been a while.
Oh, like rest in peace, like we're dead,
Yep.
like call the
Yep.
code team off, no more compressions, no more VFib, no defib, nothing. Just
Thank you for making that more complicated for the listeners. Appreciate that. And then, what does it mean when you say a player is your pallbearer?
yes, the
This is a good
pallbearer
one.
question.
Yeah, this has definitely come up a ton over the years.
Those who know me well know that I like to kind of kill jokes and songs and movie references and a lot of stuff. If I love it, I kill it, basically. Lucas, is that fair?
Very. Watch out,
This is-
Ginger.
Whoa, bro. Ginger's just fine. Ginger's our third co-host of the evening. She's sitting about 2 feet away from me. My lovely cat, for those of you who don't know. Very sweet girl. She's almost like a dog, but yeah, she's sitting right next to me. She hasn't meowed yet. Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. So one of my favorite jokes is, I don't even know where I heard it, but it's talking about, someone that you hate, someone you really don't like. Maybe it's a jerk at work or a family member. I don't know. But you say, I want to get that person's contact information and give it to my loved one. And someone says, why? Well, so this way, if something happens to me, they can be the pallbearer at my funeral to let me down one last time. So when it refers to our show, talking about my pallbearer alert, it's who is letting me down the most. Usually recently, you have all-time pallbearers like Brandon Bostic. He's got a spot, like no matter what. Like I don't know how many people pallbear, for a funeral. I did it once, and I'm trying to remember. There was probably like 6 or 7 of us.
Okay.
So
you got some room
Bostic.
left.
What?
You got some room left for sure.
We got some room. Bostic for sure. I think he's the only one who's locked in right now. We can revisit this, but he's like a lot.
We've gotten rid of most of them over the years, which is good. But that one's going to stick with you forever, I think. Yeah. So yeah, they're just people that really disappoint you, basically, right?
Yeah, essentially. And we try to do. We mentioned it as like pallbearer of the week alert, right? So like, who is it more lately? But you can get yourself out of the doghouse, as a lot of my former pallbearers have done.
Yeah, that is very true. Okay, so there you go. There's my third I know. There you go.
That's hilarious. I really don't remember saying RIP that much, but
like I said, probably happened a lot when we were losing or when things were looking a little tough.
yeah, I think that there were a lot of moments where all of us were texting loved ones and fellow Packer fans RIP, like last season, because there were a lot of dark times there, guy.
Mm-hmm. There were. Thankfully, we're out of those.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir, we are. All right, offense or defense, brother? You decide.
Let's do some offense, since I mostly just talked about the defense.
All right, offense. Whew. Josh Jacobs.
That's where I was going. Love it.
He's that guy. What, 3 touchdowns against Miami? And, all right, was it Miami? I think it was Miami.
One of them.
One of them. And then he also had like a sick ass. It wasn't even a screenplay. It was just like, I think we were in like trips and a tight end on the other side, and Jacob just goes out for a route as like the check down, like the last choice, catches it, makes a guy miss, which we've seen him do a lot.
Like broke his ankles, made him miss.
Yeah.
Like dude was falling the wrong direction.
That guy got surgery for sure. For sure. And then he goes and just scampers off like a 35-yard run like it's nothing. So Josh Jacobs making plays happen on the ground, through the air. He's really, unfortunately, an undertold story this season. We saw a little bit in the graphic during one of the games, but like you talk about free agent running backs switching teams in the offseason, no surprise Derrick Henry does extremely well.
Yep.
In Baltimore, right? Wonderful. I don't think any real surprise. Saquon's doing wonderful for the Eagles, right? Maybe not this good. Apparently, he's on pace to set Dickerson's record.
Currently, yeah.
But with that offense, you knew he was going to do well, right?
Correct.
I think with Josh Jacobs, there was more of a question mark based on, last year for him was down.
Yeah.
way down as compared to the year before where he was MVP, right? So I feel like people kind of slept on him. And we're like, oh, we'll see what he does with the Packers, Jordan Love in the passing game. But the man has been a monster. I think he's also on pace to potentially break Amon Green's record for rushing yards. I know he already set some Packer records.
He did. I don't know if he's going to get, because Amon Green had like 1,800. I think he had 1,800 yards one year, which is mind-boggling to think about. Yeah, Jacobs and Mixon, I think, were kind of the two free agent running backs, or like the next tier. We were like, okay, we'll kind of see how that goes, right? Both have played phenomenally, but Jacobs, kind of like we talked about a couple weeks ago, has really become and excelled at being the bell cow that we haven't had for a very long time, and something, unfortunately, Aaron Jones just could not do, right? He could not be the kind of back that Josh Jacobs is, and Josh Jacobs has been the perfect running back for this team, this system, this year. And it absolutely makes no sense to me, and I love it, how he makes so many people miss, right? He's got the power, and he will run through you, but he will make people miss in a telephone booth, and he's not the kind of guy that you necessarily assume has that extreme level of agility and quickness, but the dude does. He does not have top end to save his life, but he gets there in a hurry, and he's going to make you miss, even if you're standing a foot in front of him.
Josh Jacobs is not excellent at a single individual trait. That's fair.
Yeah.
But I think he is great at every single one of them.
I think he is, and Halfley talked about this a little bit in the press conference, he's pretty similar to one of the running backs we're going to play this week, actually. Him and Montgomery have very similar playing styles. And obviously, Josh Jacobs is better, right? But they're very similar in the fact that they can do everything. In third down, throw a little dump off. They're going to make the first guy miss, hopefully get you your first down, right? They can run in between the tackles. They can still make people miss. Josh Jacobs, I believe, leads the league in missed tackles, which is awesome. Less awesome that people are getting to him. So our run blocking has not been phenomenal, but Josh Jacobs makes it a non-issue, which has been perfect for this, especially the way our offensive line is set up. They're phenomenal, arguably the best pass blocking offensive line in the league by most metrics, which is crazy. Run blocking, they're good, they're fine, right? But Josh Jacobs' ability to make that first man miss and just churn out instead of -1, 0, 1, 2 yard gains. He's constantly getting 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And he's getting the hard yardage, and he's keeping the offense on track, which has been something that's been super helpful for us.
Another thing with Jacobs is when you watch all these post-game interviews, you watch him at the locker room and guys talking about him, and he's talking about how hungry this team is and how hungry he is. Because he watched us get so close so many times and just not make it over. And he said that since he's been here, he's felt it. He has felt that hunger in the locker room. And he's like, these are my boys. These are my brothers. They've accepted me into their ranks. Now we're going to go into battle. All right. We're going to storm the beaches and go punch Hitler in the face. That's exactly what we're doing.
Love it.
Not even going to leave the running back room. I can't do it. We can't not talk about the pop that both Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks have shown. I know that Wilson in both games had a rush over 10 yards, and Brooks had like a 18-yarder as well.
Yeah, he had a really nice one.
Both of them showing a little pop, showing some power, a little more vision than you expect for, RB 4 and 5, right? Going in.
Yeah, especially Brooks. He's been a really pleasant surprise, and we're doing some interesting stuff with him. He's playing in a lot of the pony packages, so when we have two running backs on the field, he's always one of them. And his versatility is clearly our best pass blocking back. He's the best pass blocking back in the NFL this year, apparently, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And he can give you a little pop in the run game, which is great. He has pretty good hands, also great. And above all that, in pony package, he's essentially playing fullback. Like he's doing everything. And that is such a useful piece that we just picked up essentially off the street almost, right, during the middle of the season, that we never expected to have. And then on the other hand, you have Emmanuel Wilson, who seems to have one awesome run a game, and he only gets the ball like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, you give that man the ball, he's going to give you an ROI for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, one thing about Chris Brooks, and this kind of feels like blasphemy to say, because I have a distinct memory as a kid, the first time watching the Packers.
Okay.
My grandpa explained the game of football to me through Amon Green. Oh, this is the running back, this is what he does, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm not saying, don't worry, folks, we're okay here. I'm not sitting here saying that Chris Brooks is Amon Green or anything close or ever will be. But there's something about his pad size and his height and his build with the 30 that just man, it brings back memories. I can't exactly place my finger on it, but there's just something about him that reminds me. Obviously, he's wearing 30 like Amon Green did, but it feels like more than that.
Time. Yeah. What I think of him as is super Patrick Taylor. And I mean that in the best way possible. Where they trusted Patrick Taylor and put him in a bunch of situations because he wouldn't mess it up. And clearly they do the same thing with Chris Brooks. However, Brooks actually does something when he gets in the game. He doesn't just mess it up. He makes positive impacts. Patrick Taylor was our best pass blocking running back. Put him in a lot of 2-minute drills, third down situations. He could block, he could run, he wouldn't fumble. Chris Brooks does all that, but everything much better. He's a real utility knife back there. He can do a little bit of everything. He's kind of like this offense's version. This is going to sound weird. Little Kyle Juszczyk.
I was thinking Juszczyk.
Now, not quite in the same way because Juszczyk's more tight end, right? And he's more running back, fullback situation. But the versatility, the interchangeability, though we just want this guy on the field because he's not going to mess up and he's going to help us do something good. That's a little Juszczyk, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, man, that's a great comparison. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, I feel like in the receiver room, I know
we talked about most of it.
Yeah, I kind of covered it, honestly.
There's one thing I want to bring up real quick, and that's because I saw some highlights of a certain wide receiver.
Ooh.
Okay. And it's the one who, he's been a little up and down, right? We've talked about it a lot. He's my boy, and it had nothing to do with catching the football.
Oh, yeah, he's a killer, bro.
Have you seen the highlights of his blocks? Dude is just out there. I mean, him and Tucker Kraft are just doing work. I mean, Dontavian Wicks is just driving people out of the way. And they're bringing him in.
He's angry.
As a tight end, right? You'll see this pretty frequently. We'll have, the 5 linemen and a tight end or whatever, and we'll motion Wicks in and kind of stand him between the tackle and the tight end, and then he'll just do a little kick-out block or whatever it is. And when you're in that position, you are not taking on cornerbacks. You're not taking on safeties most of the time. He's up to the linebackers. He's doing work on those blocks. It's very impressive, and that's why he's seen the field, and that's why he saw the field even through his drop situation, because he's so valuable out there in other aspects of the game.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, I felt like his hands worked for most of the past 2 games. He still had the pass that Christian Watson had to save us from. Thank you, Christian Watson.
Yep.
But I've been happier with Dontavian, or whatever you want to call him, this week with his more recent performances. I did just want to mention before we move out of the receiver room, I mean, it's a Malik Heath touchdown, bro. You can't not.
Sweet. That was sweet.
Going up, strong hands, big frame. Isn't Malik Heath 6'2"? We forget that he's got some size.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah. So nice to see him on the field. Nice to see someone who I felt played more last year. Mm-hmm. Was kind of more of a folk hero. Still, taking advantage of the few opportunities he's been given.
He got out there. He made the most of it. And that was a pretty play.
Anything tight end room? I mean, I talked about Tucker a little bit. But
Tucker's awesome. That's pretty much all there is to say. I mean, we talk about Tucker every single episode because he's awesome every single game. But he's just so angry. I love it. He's going to be one of the best tight ends in the league in the next year or two. I mean, you can book that. He is incredible.
I am back to full trust with Tucker Kraft. After the fumble, right, early in the season, I think it was Minnesota that did not help us. Well, I guess it did help us lose that game. Didn't help us win that game. I was a little unsteady after that, but I mean, now I have complete trust in Tucker Kraft. Like if you give him the ball, if it's 3rd and 7 and he catches it 2 yards short and there's 3 defenders, somehow he's going to get through. And that's not ridiculous to say in the slightest.
Correct.
Only other thing the tight end room I wanted to say is shout out John Fitzpatrick, our new tight end 3. Got a little go as a fullback. Love that for you, guy. You want to be my new Josiah? Please and thank you.
Perfect. All right. What do we got next?
Defense?
Yeah, let's do it. Just real quick. Good job, offensive line. I mean, we have some of the fewest sacks in the NFL. The run game's doing great. Y'all just doing well. Good job. Keep it up. Now the defense.
So, I really think that we should be considering Xavier McKinney for a serious consideration for Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
He has been exceptional.
Yep.
He added another pick over the last 2 weeks. Had a pass breakup that unfortunately went to a touchdown for Tyreek Hill. Had another pass breakup earlier. Had a key tackle on 4th down at want to say against San Francisco.
Yep.
Like, the man's everywhere. He's a ball hawk. He's an aggressive tackler. It's like a supercharged Jonathan Owens in the sense that he's always in the frame, right? When the tackle happens,
Yep.
he will always be there. We've seen him talk some shit. We've seen him stand up to the boys. We see how he addresses the media, right? Man's an absolute legend. And it is such a blessing to have a true ball hawk and leader in the secondary. Like, every time we're on defense, it's like, we're giving up yards. Oh, shit, what's going to happen? You know what? We have Xavier McKinney. Something good's going to happen.
We're going to be all right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And, yeah, currently he's first, and it's only the fan vote, but currently he's first in Pro Bowl voting for free safety, so that's nice. He's had an absolutely incredible year. Something that's interesting kind of looking forward is this upcoming game against the Lions. We'll see at least 3 of the best safeties in the league. Like, this is going to be quality safety play will happen on Thursday.
Bro, last time we did this, last time we previewed the Lions, you said it was like 4 of the best. Just be confident there, unless you're dropping off Kirby Joseph or Brian Branch. Problem.
We've been starting Bullard over Evan Williams recently, at least at times. So, like, Evan Williams, he's not necessarily up there. He hasn't made the same impact recently. Now, that's okay. The defense is playing great. We're averaging like 15 points given up the last couple weeks. So I'm not going to complain, but Evan Williams hasn't made those splash plays recently. That's all I'm saying. He's still my guy. Don't worry.
He's still there in my book. Like, PFF can lie too when I say it does.
Fair enough. But yeah, X has been great. Secondary has been good enough recently.
Whoa. We got to show the love to the secondary. A little bit.
Okay.
Second half against San Francisco, McCaffrey goes on it was either a long run or a long dump off pass.
You're right. You're 100%
got it in the open. And Javon Bullard and Keyshawn Nixon come from across the field. Bullard starts the wrap up. Keyshawn punches it out. Keyshawn came like from the opposite slot. I don't know where Bullard came from, but Keyshawn ran his ass off to get to that play. Peanut punches it out. And then, of course, this is the week after the Bears game. Who's right there? Even Ginger, my cat, knows. It was Carl fucking Brooks, folks, because that's who he is.
He's always right there.
He's always right there. He's great. Yeah.
He's the best. So you're right. That was a great play. I'm sorry I forgot. It's mostly because I believe I was in the bathroom at the bar for that play, so I missed that one, unfortunately. But great play there. I meant more of the cornerbacks, the true outside corners.
Yeah.
Because we've been without Jair, and we've been surviving, but it hasn't. I mean, Stokes has had some issues, so Ballantyne got hurt, so he's not even an option right now. The cornerback has not been great, but it sounds like we're getting Jair back, so we'll be all right.
So let me ask you, though.
Yeah.
Let me pick your brain on this.
Okay.
Before Ballantyne got hurt, I mean, with how Stokes and Ballantyne were playing, did you think that me calling for Corey Ballantyne was wacko?
No, because Ballantyne, I think, was playing great or good. But Stokes, dude cannot change direction. Like, if I'm going up against Eric Stokes and I see man coverage, I'm calling deep ins every play because the dude can't turn. He can't do it. He'll be in your hip pocket. You break either inside or outside, and then he just kind of stays there. You know, he's no longer in your hip pocket. So Stokes could be okay, dependent on matchup, perhaps. You know, and we've talked about this before. If you run up against a wide receiver that just runs go routes, like sure, fine, whatever, put Stokes on him. But yeah, I was fine for some more Ballantyne, and then now not an option.
It's just crazy how Stokes can be so fast. And like, remember his rookie year, we would see the closing speed on some of his pass breakups, or even when he would still be a willing run defender, right? Like,
Yep.
you can see the pure speed. And it's just wild that someone that has that high of an athletic trait can be so awful moving laterally. Like, in another athletic trait, be so poor with your high ceiling of another. It's just wild to me that he looks the way he does.
Yeah, at cornerback, you kind of need a sports car, right? You need an F1 car, we'll even say. If we're going race cars, you need an F1 car. You need something that's got high top speed, but can handle, right? Can make it around the corners. Eric Stokes is a drag car at this point. He's made for one thing, that is straight line. Need me to turn, I'm going to crash.
Bro, even I knew that reference. That's exactly Eric Stokes.
That is 100%
exactly
Eric Stokes.
And like those, I've seen
it's
those.
not even necessarily his fault at this point. I think any chance he had, I think, is just gone due to injury.
You know what, bro? Here's what when we're talking about this metaphor. Eric Stokes is perfect for drag race videos that I remember seeing as a kid on, like, I don't even remember. It was like a car accident show or something. And like where they go really fast and they flip up. Like, that is Eric Stokes.
That's Eric Stokes. Yeah. That's him.
All right. Other things defensively. Talked about Isaiah McDuffie, obviously.
Yeah.
Quay Walker.
I mean, I was ready to cut him after the Bears game. I mean, I was livid.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and plays probably his two best games of his life against the 49ers and the Dolphins. So he looks like a completely different player. Like, it really is just time will tell. Does he stay this aggressive? Does he continue to make the right reads? Does he not get lost in coverage? If he continues that, he's going to be the linebacker we all thought he could be, right? It's just it doesn't show up game in, game out. But now we got two. We got two in a row as a sample size. We'll see, right? This is going to be a huge test on him because we're going up against a really good run game that also does a lot of really creative stuff. And they also have two running backs that are really good out of the backfield and a really good tight end and a really good slot. Like, the inside backers are in for a tough day. And if Quay has a bad game, it's going to be very hard for us to pull this one out.
And I'm, at this point, expecting that we're not going to have Edge Coop. So Quay Walker, it's going to be you. And I'm sorry, I love you, Mr. Thanksgiving, and I love you, Eric Wilson. But for that position to play second linebacker on nickel and dime situation, well, I guess nickel, not dime, but nickel situations in, 3rd and +5, you're going to have a subpar athlete next to you. So your guys' middle of the field, which is where they would be sitting in pretty much any normal zone coverage, is going to be targeted. So Quay has to continue. Boy's got to continue to play his ass off. I heard a report that he said the difference was that he tried to stop thinking as much, right? Like, he knows the defense. He knows the scheme, right? We've seen that. We know that. He does.
Yeah.
He's mentioned about being in his head, right? He's an emotional dude, right? You got to learn to focus that in and make the most of your talents going forward, right? Like, trusting your gut, right? If you're in zone coverage and you see a guy coming in and you think he's going to come, don't think about the guy behind him, right? Like, if your instinct tells you to cut, go and do that. It seems like that's when he's been doing more the past couple of games, and we've seen the dividends from that.
100%, and I think inside backer is probably, certainly on defense, the most instinctual position, right?
Yeah.
There's only so much you can teach. At some point, you just got to know where to go, right? You need to be able to read Read your keys, read what you're seeing, whether a lot of inside backers, and this is something I got taught in high school even, is you read the guards. Don't read the tackles, don't read the center, read the guards. Guards will tell you where the play's going. And you just need to be able to see your keys, pull the trigger, just go, right? And that's what we've been seeing Quay doing instead of kind of going towards the wrong hole a little late or stopping his feet in the middle of a hole, and next thing you know, the running back just teleports around him, even though they're one-on-one, a foot away from each other. All that seems to be gone. I'm cautiously optimistic at this point. Like, I need to see more. Like I said, really big test coming up. Really proud of Quay for the steps he's taken, but you gotta sustain this level of play at this point.
Well said. Any other thoughts on defense?
Not really. We pretty much touched on the entire D-line already.
Little Lions preview?
Let's do it. It's a big game, man. Big game.
It is a big game.
Our only chance of winning the division is pretty much this game. If we lose, we're done. I mean, we're going to make the playoffs, but we're currently sitting at 99% to make the playoffs. If we win one more game, we're in. And we have the tiebreaker over, like, the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th seed, something like that. And we're 3 games up on them. So we're in a really good spot, but this is a huge game for seeding implications for us.
Lucas, you almost seem anxious.
I'm excited, not anxious. Something that I think I like is that it's a Thursday night game. However, it's a Thursday night game for both of us coming off of playing on a Thursday night, right? I'm always a little nervous about Thursday night games because similar to the first game of the season, like, weird stuff happens on Thursday nights. Sometimes people just come out and lay an egg, right? And I was a little worried about that because I feel like we're playing really well. The Lions are hurt, which we'll get into. They almost just lost to a not great Bears team, right? And I wanted this to be, on some level, a fair fight on an even playing field, right? I want to see our best versus their best because I think right now our best can be better. I didn't want to have one of those random games where you turn on the TV on Thursday night and it's 28-0 because one team just completely no-showed for some reason, right? We're not going to get that because it's been a week for both of us since we last played. This is going to be a normal week for them, right? Injuries shouldn't play as big of a factor, at least not, kind of the bruised up, banged up guys. If you're hurt, you're hurt, but we're not playing on a short week. I'm really looking forward to this game because I think we can win it, right? And I think we can really surprise some people doing so.
Look at that confidence. Look at it, folks.
Yeah. It's going to be hard, man. This is a really good team we're playing, but really good offense. Their defense is really banged up. Pretty much their whole defensive line. They're out linebackers. Malcolm Rodriguez is now out for the year. So they got Jack Campbell and not much else on the inside. I heard they signed Jamal Adams, I think, to play linebacker.
No way.
I think that's a real thing I heard today.
Oh, my God. I can't wait.
Let me look it up. So that's wild.
Dude, I didn't realize they signed that, what was it, like Kilden Vildor or something, like the 6th corner for the Bears, and he's playing significant snaps? Like, they're that hurt?
He is not good. Yeah,
no.
They signed they signed Jamal Adams, I believe, to play linebacker. Target him. He's been bad for a while.
Tucker Kraft, you want to do something, guy?
Tucker Kraft's going to eat. So they're really banged up there. Like we already talked about, they have 2 really good safeties, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph. Yeah, we got the former Bears corner who sucks. Like we can take advantage of some of this, especially straight up the middle. Like I said, their D-line is all hurt. DJ Reader's hurt. That's a big one in the middle of the line. So hopefully
he's really good.
He is really good. Hopefully we can expose that in the run game. And their pass rush didn't really do anything against us last game. I don't really think it's going to do anything this game. So hopefully we can expose some of those weaker spots.
I would say Za'Darius revenge game, but against the Bears, he went out like 7 times. I swear to God, it was like every other play he was hurt.
Which doesn't surprise me at this point, especially for Z. Yeah, I'm not too scared of him anymore.
So when I think about the Lions, maybe it's unfair of me. Maybe this is just lazy broadcasting, but bro, I think about last year too. I felt like when we did the same thing, right? I'm pretty sure we lost to the Lions and the Vikings both times earlier that season too. Despite how subpar we looked early, I still felt like we were better than both of those teams when we lost to them then, and we're playing shitball.
Correct.
This year, right, we didn't get out to as slow a start, at least like record-wise, right? The team looked gross because we were playing much lower than we had played at the end of last season. So our expectations that we were going to continue there, us included, it's only natural, and that's fine. But it still feels like this team the past couple of weeks has potentially turned a corner.
Yep.
Right? This is a really big game. People can kind of poke holes through, San Francisco being a practice squad team. You can poke holes through Miami having to play in the cold because two of them always lose, right? Like this is a big game and all of America is watching. But I'd be lying to you if I did not expect in my soul for us to win. One of my coworkers is a big Lions fan, and we were talking it up, and I was like, $10 in the pack, and he was like, sure. And I was like, no doubt. Like, he thought I was kidding. I was just like, bro, I appreciate, it's cute seeing you as a Lions fan have hope. It really is. We don't hate little brother. I'm happy you're doing well. But, like, I'm the valedictorian here. This is my shit. Like, step off me. This is our division. We're going to go and smack you in the mouth in your house.
Yeah, the little brother all of a sudden had one good season, and they're walking around like they're king of the house, right? It's like, okay, calm down.
Hey, listen,
You haven't done anything
shitheads.
yet, right?
Listen, we're the ones who blow leads to San Francisco in the playoffs, all right? You guys did it once. We perfected it. So, like, stay in your lane, guys.
There's going to be no San Francisco this year, so we got a good shot. But, yeah, I think you're 100% right. And talking about the offense a little bit here, there more injuries. Taylor Decker, the right tackle, is really good. He's probably not going to play, right? So at that point, you got good old Dan Skipper, who's going to go in, which he's their sixth offensive lineman that they bring in on all their heavy packages. Like, what are they going to do now?
Hey, bro.
Nice domino effect here.
Bro, real quick question. Chances you think they make him a captain for the game?
Pretty high.
Yeah, because he's a skipper.
Pretty high.
Thank you.
Anyways, defense is in for a long day, right? They got Amon-Ra, who's a phenomenal slot receiver. Jameson Williams looks like he can actually play football now. He did not look that way last year. He looks like a real wide receiver. He's really dumb. He does like one boneheaded thing a game. So hopefully,
how did he not get kicked out for throwing the ball in a Bears player's face?
Who was on the sideline, like not even in the game.
And it was Tyreek Stevenson. So, like, you let that dude get in your head?
That dude's also really dumb.
Yeah, they are dumb and dumber.
Correct. They're a match made in heaven. I hope they line up against each other every snap going forward. And then you got those running backs, man. Like, that's going to be a long day at the office.
Bro, for someone of your football knowledge and IQ, I'm a little disappointed.
In what?
I've been a little disappointed that, like, a lot of people have forgotten that Tim Patrick is now in the Lions and making like power forward rebound style catches, man. It's good to see. The bro is tearing it up in Denver for years, right? Tears his ACL, I think, back-to-back seasons, and then he was like completely forgotten about him to the point where I didn't know that he was in Detroit. And
isn't he the one that got shot?
I think he got shot. Ricky Pearsall, bro.
No, he also got shot, but I think Tim Patrick got shot too. If I remember right,
did he?
The Tim Patrick one's actually a wild story. Here, hold on. Let me look this up for a second. But yeah, good for him.
I mean, he was like a real fantasy star too. Like, I feel like he is someone whose game you would have respected, and like me, was sad when he was, out for 2 seasons.
Oh, my bad, Josh Reynolds, my bad.
Hey, he's way better than Josh Reynolds. I hate that dude. Something about him.
You know who else hated that dude? Whoever set up the hit on him outside a club in Denver, because that's what happened. Like, it wasn't a Ricky Pearsall where the guy just tried to steal his watch or whatever. Like, this was a straight up hit, like with multiple people shooting it. It's crazy. If you go read about it. But anyways.
Okay, Josh, I'm sorry for saying hate. That's probably a lot in what you've gone through. But also, how does someone hate you that much, bro?
Right? Like, what'd you do? Anyways, we're not going to get into that. But okay, you're right. Tim Patrick to go along with Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams. Got a good old Sammy Laporta, right, from Iowa.
Iowa.
They haven't really used him this year, which missed opportunity, but he's been coming on strong recently. And then finally, you got those running backs. That Sonic and Knuckles. That's gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be a tough one.
What a good pair of nicknames for him, bro. I mean, they're your stereotypical like Thunder and Lightning.
Yep.
It is like the perfect running back combo.
Apparently,
Someone
one of the
with
other
power.
ones they were thinking about was, especially because in Detroit, right, Motown and stuff, Rhythm and Bruise. That's pretty solid.
I like that a lot more. That's great and fits their styles perfectly.
It does. That's
but
really
like,
good.
It almost feels underwhelming to call David Montgomery a power back because there's such a stereotype of athletic limitations that come with that, right? You think of a power back as just someone who's a big bruiser, probably a little slower, not super athletic, maybe not the best hands out of the backfield, but like David Montgomery can do it all. Granted, he usually chooses to punish you with power, but like man can run, man can catch, man can do a lot of things.
He makes you miss too. He's a really hard guy to bring down and not just strictly with power. And I remember that even going back to him coming out of Iowa State, he led all of the NCAA in missed tackles, and it wasn't just lowering his shoulder. It was making people miss, kind of like we talked about Josh Jacobs earlier. People just kind of like bouncing off his thighs and stuff like that. Can't bring him down with one arm. Really good running back. Clear upgrade from when they had our boy Jamal Williams, which is sad. But Jamal Williams brought more to the table than just a true power back, but also was a lot closer to that than David Montgomery. David Montgomery deserves his own backfield, right, on most teams. He just happens to be playing with one of the most electrifying running backs in the NFL, unfortunately, in Jahmyr Gibbs, who's really, really good, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Feeling better with Quay Walker learning that he can tackle, right? I mean, that definitely helps me feeling a little less nervous about facing Jahmyr Gibbs. But yeah, I mean, like you said, he's one of the most explosive players in the NFL. You know, people definitely raise some eyebrows. Detroit taking running back in the first round that high. People are like, whoa, what are they doing? Dan Campbell, bite your kneecaps. This is a little crazier than we thought. But when you can get a player that is a home run waiting every single time he touches the ball,
yep,
you can't say no. And that's exactly what they have. He is lightning in a bottle out of the backfield. He is explosive in the passing game on screens. I mean, you can just send him on vert down the field. Like, the man can do it all. He's really scary too. So I'm not feeling any better if one's in the game as opposed to the other. I mean, Gibbs is probably the higher potential for a big play, but Montgomery can punish you just as much. And then that punishing run sets up Laporta and the play action of Amon-Ra St. God, and it's a lot.
It is a lot. And then he got Jared Goff just kind of dealing back there, dropping dimes everywhere when he's in a rhythm. I mean, thank God we saw him turn into what apparently Rams fans used to call Jared Goof with that 4-pick game a couple weeks ago. Want to see more of that. And thankfully, seeing that reminded me, hey, that's still in there, right? We can still rattle him. He's a guy that you got to get off his spot. He's terrible if you get him out of the pocket or even get him to move in the pocket, right? He's one of the very few statuesque quarterbacks left in this league. So the pass rush is going to be key to making him uncomfortable. You make him uncomfortable, you're golden. He's going to start throwing up some terrible passes, making bad decisions. If he's comfortable back there, he's going to absolutely dissect us.
You mentioned Lucas Van Ness, Kingsley Edenbari, right? Mr. Cox Jr., Mr. Mosby, all the boys that are taking precedent snaps, all those, quote-unquote rotational defensive edge rushers, right? All those boys been doing work lately. Rashawn Gary is starting to look like Rashawn Gary again. Not quite having the productivity, but he's been getting after it. I know him and Nessie shared a sack or two in the past 2 games. So I'm feeling much better about the Packer pass rush. The ability even just for the front 4 to get home to Jared Goff than it was a few weeks ago. I also think with the emergence of Quay Walker playing more instinctively, like we've been asking for, he's been shown to be effective on some blitzes as well. So I do like our chances to be able to make Goff uncomfortable, to make him scramble, to get to him. A few sacks, a few hurried throws. We forced him a couple turnovers last year in Detroit. I'm expecting a similar performance on Thursday.
As am I. Overall, what do we think happens?
And boys get the dub.
I mean, obviously.
That's it for sure. I'm going to say like 30-24 Pack.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Let me go 31. 31-17. 31-17. I feel we kind of run away with it and hide for a little bit of this game.
I like it.
We'll
I'm
see.
going to get real.
I'm a little nervous because I feel oddly confident.
No, trust it. Trust it. I'm going to get real spicy. That's what I'm going to say. Real spicy.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Dontavian Wicks, 2 touchdowns.
2 tutties. Nice.
Eric Wilson, fumble recovery, and I'm done.
Oh, my God. Okay, that's a lot. Mine's kind of a 2-parter, right? Jair returns because he has been limited in practice this week, and gets an interception. Okay, and then
I respect it.
The offensive side of the ball. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I think Chris Brooks gets a touchdown.
That's beautiful. I hope it's out of the fullback spot.
I hope it's out of pony package. Yeah, we just pull out something weird from it. Because right now he just lead blocks every time, but hopefully.
He's due, right? If the defense won't expect him to get it at some point, then you got to give it to the man at some point.
Exactly.
All righty, folks. Well, it's so great to be back. It's so great to be back with Luke. I hope that you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I hope that we have an even better this coming Thursday. But until next time, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.